Well, here's a horrifying and terrifying story we have to discuss, which likely will blow up later today and potentially lead to class action lawsuits and maybe even some massive government fines. The Entertainment Software Association, which is a trade group that represents and protects this video game industry, some of its notable members include video game publishers such as Bethesda, Activision Blizzard, Electronic Arts, Konami, Nintendo, Tencent, THQ Nordic, Ubisoft, Epic Games, Capcom, Square Enix, Gearbox Software, Sony, and many more. The ESA largely is responsible for lobbying on behalf of the best interests of the video game industry. As some of you might know, the ESA has successfully defended video games from many politicians who want to maliciously blame mature games for real-life violence, but more recently, and really for the last few years since the whole Star Wars Battlefront 2 loot box debacle, they've been battling legislation worldwide to regulate or ban loot boxes and other forms of predatory monetization mechanics. Right now in the United States Senate, the ESA is trying to defeat a bill that was introduced by Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri, which would ensure video games that are marketed to children would be prohibited from implementing any form of pay-to-win mechanisms, and additionally all of these games would be forbidden from selling loot boxes to children. That bill is still active and ongoing and has received bipartisan support, but outside of the lobbying work, the ESA is also responsible for organizing the Electronic Entertainment Expo, or simply put, E3. This, of course, is an annual event which has some of gaming's biggest companies attend to reveal new hardware, software, and a lot more. In recent years, E3 has become less of a trade event and really has started to fade, with key companies such as Sony, Activision Blizzard, Electronic Arts, Nintendo, and Take-Two Interactive, some of the biggest gaming industry leaders. They've either completely not attended or decreased their involvement. But this year, E3 2019 was pretty massive, at least in terms of excitement, with some of the highlights including Keanu Reeves having a surprise appearance on Microsoft's E3 stage to reveal his involvement in CD Projekt Red's highly anticipated Cyberpunk 2077. Besides just that, during or around E3, there was also reveals for all kinds of big upcoming games, which includes Watch Dogs Legion, Halo Infinite, Marvel's The Avengers game, Doom Eternal, and Final Fantasy VII Remake. But here's where we get to the horrifying part. It has been uncovered that over 2,000 games journalists, analysts, YouTubers, and streamers from Twitch and Mixer have had their information doxxed because the ESA failed to secure their personal data. This may actually be one of the worst blunders I've ever seen and could have enormous consequences to the ESA and this E3 event. Former niche gamer journalist Sophia Narwitz was the first to break this story. Link will be in the description to her video on this screw up, but as she noted on Twitter about this massive debacle, the ESA was warned of this file over a month ago. This I learned tonight. I also emailed/called them late last night before I ever considered publishing my piece. So yes, it appears a document with the personal information of over 2,000 individuals working in this industry has been public for about over a month. This document has now just hours ago been removed from the ESA's website, but it's way too late. The damage is done, and unfortunately this document, which includes phone numbers, personal names, addresses, and more, is being passed around all over the web. Just some of those who have been impacted by this debacle with their personal data now out there includes journalists, reporters, or writers at IGN, RPG Site, GameRanks, Destructoid, Screen Rant, USA Today, the BBC, Polygon, Tech Radar, ABC News, The Hollywood Reporter, BuzzFeed, DualShockers, CNN, CNET, Game Informer, GameZone, Niche Gamer, Newsweek, Nintendo Life, PC Gamer, Rock Paper Shotgun, The Verge, Vice, VG247, Variety, WCCF Tech, Twinfinite, GamesIndustry.biz, Games Radar, Eurogamer, and many more. Some YouTubers impacted includes Inside Gaming, Kinda Funny Games, Young Yeah, SkillUp, and The Game Theorists. This is as bad as it gets, and this is a warning to really anyone who attended E3 2019 and gave their personal information to the ESA. Your information is out there, and I would consider contacting your local police department and changing your phone numbers for your personal safety. I will also advise contacting maybe an attorney because this is unacceptable, and I have little understanding of why the ESA needed in the first place to collect home addresses. This is just so reckless and puts so many in danger. Now, Sophia Narwitz, who broke this story, did reveal further that it appears some affected by this leak are already preparing legal action. She took to Twitter claiming, "This story just got juicier. Another source has has reached out, and I've been told there's a group of content creators already gearing up for a lawsuit. This will be put forth on Monday or Tuesday, and on top of that, a few big name companies are following suit. This honestly is the least surprising update, and I guarantee the ESA is in massive financial trouble, and I promise you there will be fears of attending any future events held by them because of this mess. I did reach out to Sophia, who further elaborated on the situation and the backstory of how this was brought to her attention. She revealed this document was being passed around for the last month, and someone contacted her about the document, which, might I add, up until yesterday was still accessible on the ESA's website if you knew the right page. She further told me that she called and emailed the ESA at 3 and 4 a.m. this previous morning and contacted a journalist with Vice. Being I'm relatively small, I figured the ESA would ignore me. They did. I never got a reply, though they did remove the web page. However, they left the file in their servers, so it was still cached elsewhere online. On top of all this, it's been revealed that they were alerted to this over a month ago by another journalist, and a source came forward who worked with the ESA and said they knew of this risk since February. It appears they have failed time and time again. It's astounding. VentureBeat, who was affected by this data leak, was the first to run an article on this mess, and they did get a response from the ESA, who told them in a statement, ESA was made aware of a website vulnerability that led to the contact list of registered journalists attending E3 being made public. Once notified, we immediately took steps to protect that data and shut down the site, which is no longer available. We regret this occurrence and have put measures in place to ensure it will not occur again. This statement is pretty much rubbish BS. Richard Hogue, a lawyer, criticized the statement on Twitter, saying, so again, tweet's not legal advice, getting a workout, but vulnerability seems incorrect. The note about the data not being available seems incorrect, and they really need to at least reach out to everyone affected, something, yeah, I agree with. Also note that was made aware definitely avoids the primary question associated with all breaches. When? That in and of itself may be telling, since it looks like they put it up themselves. There was nothing to be made aware of. Folks are right to be upset about a response like this. So it's a terrible statement that fails to even mention how their website had a publicly available link to a document that wasn't secure in any way, which has personal information of almost all the media that attended E3 2019 and gained badges from them. Additionally, as I already mentioned earlier, the page which had the link to the document was still left on the ESA servers and is now being spread all over the internet and puts so many people's lives in danger now. VentureBeat did mention this and some of the penalties that the ESA could likely face now. While this breach could expose people to certain threats, it could also hurt the ESA's bottom line. Companies pay the organization a lot of money to show up to E3, and part of the reason the trade show is worth that price is because the company has a spreadsheet with the contact information for popular YouTubers and influential media personalities. If people are more hesitant to share that data at E3 2020, suddenly the show is potentially less valuable to attending developers and other companies. The ESA website was likely also accessible from Europe, and it contained info for European members of the press. That could turn this into a GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation issue. That is the EU regulatory framework that obliges any company that collects data to meet certain assurances of security. The maximum fine for a GDPR violation is 20 million euros. Personally, I'm still so puzzled how reckless the ESA has acted with this private information, but furthermore, this is an organization that has gone through a disastrous year, with Variety running a story just 2 months ago titled Inside the Disarray Facing the Video Game Organization Behind E3. And Variety reported in the past 6 months alone, half of the association's leadership have either quit or been fired. And a survey of member companies conducted by Variety shows waning faith in the organization and its effort. An internal survey obtained by Variety also indicates a lack of trust by the general public of the game industry, which isn't very difficult to believe, considering the greed and manipulation that this industry enables with things like surprise mechanics. But this report was and is extremely concerning. Mike Gallagher, the now former CEO and president of the ESA, was running the organization into the ground, with morale under him being described as terrible, and many employees claimed he was a boss who was very difficult to work with, saying he was seen as manipulative, moody, and sometimes nasty. He told at least one person in the game industry that he liked to pit his employees against one another to elicit the best work from them as they vied for his approval. He would occasionally send what sources said were vicious, belittling emails to employees. The Entertainment Software Association's board of directors includes the chairman, Robert Altman, who also is the CEO of ZeniMax, which is the parent company of Bethesda Bethesda Softworks. As far as I recall, Electronic Arts' Andrew Wilson, Take-Two's Strauss Zelnick, and Activision Blizzard's Bobby Kotick are also board members. Just recently in May 2019, it was announced by the ESA's board that Stanley Pierre-Louis was the new CEO and president of the ESA. Robert Altman saying Pierre-Louis would lead our gaming industry through this period of growth and opportunity. The board and the industry looks forward to his leadership of the ESA. Maybe the organization turns it around, but this latest and probably the biggest screw up to hit the ESA will come with many consequences. Some of the early reactions to this big doxing news includes former Blizzard producer Mark Kern, who emphasized how bad this is, VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb saying don't ask for people's addresses if you can't ensure their security, people can get hurt. I kind of feel like I have to call my local police and warn them about the potential of swatting. Is that overdramatic? I don't know, but knowing who has this information makes me think it's not. Eurogamer's Wesley Yin Poole saying the ESA journalist data leak is a disgrace and I'm worried for friends and colleagues affected. There is much to answer for. Additionally, Eurogamer's editor Ollie Welsh saying it is absolutely outrageous negligence. YouTuber Keemstar highlighting the situation and saying I literally found out because a few people texted me from new numbers because they had to change their cells. Right now, at least in the United States, it's still very early in the morning and many are going to wake up to this disastrous news, but this definitely is a warning to anyone who attended E3 2019 that your data is out there. I also did want to emphasize with this video that the ESA, which represents much of this video game industry, has a record of chaos here in 2019, and accidental or not, this happened. And it's hard to understand why this document wasn't password protected or secure in any way at the very least. E3 2020 likely is going to be massive considering the next generation of consoles are coming in holiday 2020. But there's also some big game announcements to be made, which includes, I imagine, Todd Howard taking Bethesda's E3 stage revealing their next upcoming RPG Starfield, and I'm really left wondering if this situation will or could impact next year's show in any way. Anyway, what is your opinion on this colossal screw up by the ESA? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, but thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or found any informative value, and make sure to follow my other social media accounts for updates on new videos. Links are always down in the description below. I'm most active on Twitter giving opinions on news that I do not always get into video form, so do make sure to follow me over there. Also check out my Discord for all sorts of discussion on games, and again, thank you for joining. Consider subscribing for more videos, hopefully less like this, and I'll see you later.